Good morning, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here this morning. I'm very pleased to have been asked to speak at this conference. I could be nothing but impressed when I look down at the list of speakers after me and the creativity and innovative strengths of those speakers and the organisations that they work for. And given today's strategic focus on the vibrancy of the creative and cultural sector, on the importance of the creative industries, then I must admit I did find it a bit puzzling that when we were thinking about who is best to open the conference, the first thought was, let's get a civil servant up at the podium. We're not known normally for our creative and innovative strengths. But I guess what I want to do today is to put some context around the policy, around the strategy of how both administrations in this island and further afield are trying to grow and harness the potential of the creative industries. Now, every single one of you will no doubt have in your office and at home vast amounts of strategy documents, policy documents, action plans, all linked to the economy, all linked to trying to grow more innovative approaches to tackling social need. And in the north of Ireland, every single department across all parts of the administration have multiple strategies and policy documents, but all of them link back to the programme for government. And if you take that big, thick publication and all the targets within it, they can be distilled down to two key priorities: grow the economy and tackle disadvantage. It's the core purpose: grow the economy and tackle disadvantage. But the question then is, how can we do that more effectively? Because many of the problems that we have in this part of the island are generational, they are systemic. It needs new approaches, new thinking. And what I want to highlight today is the potential for the creative industries not only to help make a contribution directly to those issues, but also to catalyse economic and social change. And there's a broader policy context. In 2010, the European Commission issued a green paper on unlocking the potential of the creative and cultural sectors. And it highlighted that the sector could help with that blend of skills around creativity, entrepreneurship, risk-taking, engagement, which is needed for all countries across the EU to compete. And it further highlighted, and this I think is one of the key points of today's conference, I feel, that the creative industries has that catalytic role because it is at the crossroads between culture, between the economy. And it is at that intersection is where there are so many different opportunities, both in terms of economic and social challenges. In 2012, a policy handbook was issued by the EU around how the creative and cultural sector can help with national and regional development. And again, it highlighted, beforehand I highlighted the importance of the economy, but it highlighted how culture can make a positive impact on social problems around generation, around social cohesion, around crime prevention, around health. So again, it reinforces the point, and I hope this is teased out today, is not in growing our creative industries, how can we also catalyse crossover into other areas, such as the economy, the wider economy, but also social issues as well. From a decal perspective, I always think this would be a great question. What does decal cover? And we oversee a vast and diverse range of organisations, from libraries to museums to planetariums to sport, cross-border bodies on languages and waterways, inland fisheries, public records. And what that represents is this vast and diverse infrastructure, a creative and cultural infrastructure of people, of resources, of programmes, which can be better harnessed to tackle economic and social need. Now, arts and culture on its own, the creative industries on its own, we're not saying necessarily that that will solve all the problems of this region and this island, but they can have a catalytic impact. If I can take you back to first year science here, if you think all of us here and all of our organisations, we are coming up with new programmes of how to grow the economy, how to boost tourism, how to tackle health issues. And we're all putting these interventions in, and we're all having impact across all the different organisations and the two administrations. if we add the creative and cultural base, if we can harness that infrastructure of libraries, of museums, or the wider arts sector, then that can act as a catalyst, adding value to the programs that are already happening and providing more impact, engaging the disengaged, reaching out in new and innovative ways to grow the economy and tackle disadvantage. The challenge for all of us is how we bring that all together. March is Creativity Month in the north of Ireland, and we've been highlighting innovative approaches to tackling economic and social need. And I'm not prescriptive about definitions of creativity, but one I like is that creativity is about connecting things not previously connected. And I like that because I think it can apply to connecting people, connecting organizations, connecting ideas, connecting strategies, connecting regions, in order to maximize the impact and reach of our shared and common goals. And in the global economy, and indeed in global society, the challenges facing all of us are not going to be solved or tackled by silos. The solutions, or the more effective approaches, are going to be in blurred areas, in the intersection of many different disciplines. And what we have seen in the creative industries is the potential it has for creative entrepreneurs to work with people in health, people in education, people in different sectors, adding value, bringing new ideas, bringing new business models. Steve Jobs, I think every single creative industries presentation always gets around to mentioning Apple or Steve Jobs at one point in it. But he highlighted that his company, which I think is either the most expensive or most highly valued company in the world, or second, I think it's about $400 billion. He said that technology alone was not enough. The entire principle driving his company was this intersection between arts and technology. And to paraphrase him, he said that it's the marriage between technology and the humanities, the marriage between technology and the arts, that makes the heart sing. Now, he based one of the most expensive and highly valued companies in the world on that concept. And I think that's what we need to do here. How are we merging and blurring the creative sector with other sectors across the economy? And again, it comes back to the point of networks. How do we connect what we're doing across different organizations? How do we connect the potential of the creative industries into the economic and social challenges that local councils, the executive, the administrations in this island, and across the EU face? And it is about tapping into networks within the creative industries. So we have animators working with craft people, working with filmmakers, working with musicians. But it's also about how do we connect those creative entrepreneurs with other sectors as well. In the north, the innovation strategy is just about to be signed off by the executive. And the key themes behind that innovation strategy, it's knowledge generation, knowledge exchange, and knowledge exploitation. And it focuses on how are we going to generate the new ideas and the new approaches to meeting economic and social need. And underpinning those three key themes is cultural change. How do we promote a more creative, collaborative, and innovative region? How do we promote a new generation of creative entrepreneurs who will take the risks, come up with the new ideas, and deliver new approaches to adding value to the economy and society? And for the first time that I recall, a government innovation strategy is embedding the importance of creativity, not by using the word as a descriptive flourish in a narrative, but actually saying that creativity is at the core of innovation, that generation of new ideas, the introduction of design, how to shape those ideas, and then how do we innovate by making results happen. This is what I want to build on this island. This, some people might recognize it, crosses the French and Swiss border. It's CERN, the Hadron Collider. And if Anyone knows the concept of that? This is, I think, about 7 kilometers wide. And it brings particles, and it accelerates these particles up to near the speed of light. And it sends them around in different directions, and they crash into each other. And the purpose of that is that it is the outcome of those collisions that adds insight into the fundamental laws of nature. But the scientists who are doing that have no idea or no way to predict what will come out of those collisions. The purpose is to make those collisions happen and to increase the probability of finding out new insights into nature. I think we need to build a creative and cultural collider, promoting creative collisions between creative entrepreneurs, government, industry, and education, accelerating ideas and programs and making those collide. And I think we have to be honest and say that, for example, as civil servants, we have no idea how to predict what will necessarily come out of that. But by making those creative collisions happen, we increase the probability of great things happening. I'm always reminded of a previous digital strategy in the North. It was issued, I think, about 2009 or 2010. And this was the digital strategy for Northern Ireland for our future next 5 to 10 years. And it was published in October. And 3 months later, Apple brought out the iPad. Game changer. And again, that was government coming up with a strategy, but being unable to predict the next big thing in the global economy. So the new innovation strategy is about building that ecosystem, making those creative collisions happening, trying to break down silos, trying to make new ideas be generated by bringing people and organizations and ideas together. And on that collider, we can better harness that creative and cultural infrastructure we already have. I think of Northern Ireland Screen, I think of programs like Coder Dojo that they're working on, I think of the creative learning centres which work with teachers and youth clubs across the North in supporting the introduction of digital technology skills. We have to ask ourselves the question, we have to set ourselves the challenge that the next generation of creative entrepreneurs will not necessarily combust into being. We have to work with young people in order to inspire and support and equip them with the skills and, most importantly, the mindset to be innovative, to be creative. And museums and libraries and the arts, it's just not a Northern Ireland thing. They're across this island, they're across this continent. We can better harness the cultural infrastructure that we have to do that inspiration, to do that connections, to support that next generation coming through. And anyone can be added on to that. Every time I show that slide, I think my colleagues in finance nearly take a fit. They think I actually want to build this. But this is a model which can be applied across the region. It's a model that can bring in a whole range of organizations, such as all the different organizations here today. By aligning your programs on the economy, by aligning your programs on social development, and by recognizing how the creative and cultural sector can support that. By doing that, we bring new ideas together. We bring a whole range of different programs together, and we maximize the probabilities of finding new ways and sharing new insight on how we achieve our common objectives. We need to be more like this guy here, looking at different challenges from a different perspective. If we want to change the systemic challenges facing this region, facing this island, then new approaches are required. We have to be like him, not afraid to stand out, to be different, building on our strengths, recognizing that new ideas are necessary to support the wider agenda. And I mentioned Apple earlier on. I think everyone recognizes the Apple logo by this stage. But I like the logo from 1984. 1984, Apple did an advertisement during the Super Bowl, and it recognizes that was the moment when Apple came on the presence of certainly the American market. And the logo was that. But what followed the logo was a strapline, which I think not only helped get Apple into the conscious of the wider market, but I think it's a strapline that we can all take lessons from. Think different. That's our challenge as civil servants, as politicians, as creative entrepreneurs, as educators. How can we think differently? How can we support other people to think differently as well? How can we make more of those creative collisions happen? And on that note, a great example of a creative collision, speak to Barney Toll and Claire McGee from Narrabeen who are here today, because they ran a creative voucher program in Derry a couple of months ago where they brought creative entrepreneurs together. They gave vouchers to traditional industries, people from retail, from tourism, from manufacturing. And they brought them all together in the Millennium Forum. And those traditional companies had a £3,000 or up to £10,000 voucher that they could go around and on that day buy in support from a creative enterprise. Because it builds on recognized worldwide practice and research that if you introduce a creative enterprise into a traditional industry, then that traditional industry becomes more innovative. New ideas and new products and new services are created, or that business is showcased on the world stage. Think different. That's our challenge. If we can do that, if we can better connect what we all do already, if we recognize not only the importance of growing the creative industries, but crucially, the importance of getting the creative industries into other sectors, not only across the economy, but across other social challenges as well. By doing that, then we can mobilize more effort. By doing that, we can inspire a new generation of young people on this island. And by doing that, we can get that generation to start to imagine what could be, inspire them to move towards that. And for all of us, by working together, we can move from what is now to what can be. Thank you very much.